What's going on YouTube? I hope you're all well and welcome back to my channel. It has been a long time since I uploaded. I think it's been around 10 months since my last upload. So I hope you're all been good. Sorry for the delay. I went through a couple of things, couple changes in my life. I started a new job, so I was learning some new skills, had other things to focus on, so I haven't really had time to upload. But now I got some free time and I'm back in business. When I was trying to think of something to do for my first Let's Play back, Dragon Age Origins just made sense. This has been my favorite RPG for pretty much my entire life. This game came out in 2008, and I think I've replayed it at least 3 times a year, every year since then. So I've been playing this game for borderline 16 years. It is phenomenal. The music, the story, the art direction, the voice acting, the general plot, the lore, the universe they build in this game is all fantastic. So things to expect from this Let's Play is I'm going to be going through every dialogue, every quest. I'm going to be talking about lore. I'm going to be voicing my own character's dialogue since this is a good old-fashioned RPG with a silent protagonist, so I'll be voicing those lines. I'm going to be playing on the hardest difficulty, of course, and it's going to be unmodded for the most part. But I do have one mod installed, which is called Grey Wardens of Ferelden, and I will link that down in the description below. Oh, you'll see what that does as soon as we get in the game. It just adds the Dragon Age 2 Legacy Grey Warden armor to every Warden in Ferelden. It also applies in Awakening too, so when we get to the expansion, we will have some sweet armor in there too. Anyways, without further ado, let's jump into the game. Also, excuse me if I sound a little off. I'm feeling a little under the weather. But regardless, we press on. Here's Dragon Age Origins. And so is the golden city blackened with each step you take in my hall. Marvel at perfection, for it is fleeting. You have brought sin to heaven, and doom upon all the world. Canticle of Threnodies 8:13.
The chantry teaches us that it is the hubris of men which brought the Darkspawn into our world. The mages had sought to usurp heaven, but instead, they destroyed it. They were cast out, twisted and cursed by their own corruption. They returned as monsters, the first of the Darkspawn.
Love the way they present the opening here.
They became a blight upon the lands, unstoppable and relentless. The dwarven kingdoms were the first to fall, and from the deep roads, the Darkspawn drove at us again and again, until finally we neared annihilation.
You'd think they would have put the golems in the front line. The entire backline of that was golems.
Until the Grey Wardens came.
Pulling a Game of Thrones
Men
Season
and
8 on
women
me.
from every race,
Trebuchets up front.
warriors and mages, barbarians and kings. The Grey Wardens sacrificed everything to stem the tide of darkness, and prevailed.
No Warden gives off such Gimli energy.
It has been 4 centuries since that victory, and we have kept our vigil. We have watched and waited for the Darkspawn to return. But those who once called us heroes have forgotten. We are few now, and our warnings have been ignored for too long. have seen with my own eyes what lies on the horizon. Maker, help us all.
So even just there, you see how they set up the universe. You got the Dwarven Kingdoms, the Deep Roads, the Elves. They make such a cool world with all their different cultures and politics and beliefs. And you get to watch it all interact with the namesake of it called Dragon Age Origins, which is the character origins. There's a lot of choices here. There's your typical male, female, of course. You have the humans, so the most numerous yet the most divided of all the races. Only 4 times have they ever united under a single cause, the last being centuries ago. Religion and the chantry play a large part in human society. It distinguishes them culturally from elves and dwarves more than anything else. Humans can be warriors, rogues, or mages, and then you have your typical RPG racial benefits. Humans get a pretty good spread, actually, of strength, dex, magic, and cunning. We'll be playing a human in this run. So you go with your race, which most things can be every class aside from dwarves, but we'll get to that. Unfortunately for the backgrounds, human only gets access to human noble, which is born to wealth and power, second only to royalty. You find your training in both diplomacy and battle put to the test, as your brother leads the bulk of your family's forces to war in the south. Now, we will be playing a human noble. It's always just been the one that kind of connects with me the most. Maybe it's because it's the one I played first all those years ago, but we're gonna just basically redo my canon playthrough here, but I will go through the other races. So, elf. Once enslaved by humans, most elves have all but lost their culture, scrounging and impoverished living in the slums of human cities. Only the nomadic Dalish tribes still cling to their traditions, living by the bow and the rule of their old gods as they roam the ancient forests, welcome nowhere else. Elves can be warriors, rogues, or mages. So it's said there how the elves are split into 2. There's the nomadic ones, which are the Dalish. They kind of keep the old ways alive. And then there are the city elves, the ones that live in the human city slums, from the war a long, long time ago between humans and elves. We'll get into that more when the story of this game talks about it. I also might read some of the codex in this game. Basically all of my knowledge on these games are all from the games and reading the codexes. I've never watched the movies or read the novels because I feel like there's can be some revisionist history that goes on there sometimes, and what was actually intended gets kind of lost when somebody 10 years later writes a book and changes some shit. So I like to keep all my stuff from inside the game itself. Okay, so we have Dalish Elf. Proud of your role as one of the few true elves, you have always assumed you would spend your life with your tribe, until a chance encounter with a relic of your people's past threatens to tear you away from everything you have ever known. And we have the City Elf. You have always lived under the heavy thumb of your human overlords, but when a local lord claiming his privilege with the bride shatters your wedding day, the simmering racial tensions explode in a rain of vengeance. Now that sounds pretty good. I'm surprised I didn't pick that for my first run, actually. Then you have the dwarf, of course. Rigidly bound by caste and tradition, the dwarves have been waging a losing war for generations, trying to protect the last stronghold of their once vast underground empire from the Darkspawn. Dwarves are very tough and have high resistance to all forms of magic, thus preventing them from becoming mages. And they have their racial benefits too. So the Darkspawn that we saw at the front of the game, at the beginning rather, they live in the Deep Roads, and that's where the Dwarven Kingdom is. Only during a blight do they go surface side, so once every like 600 years does the world have to deal with the Darkspawn, but the dwarves have to deal with it 24/7. They are always under Darkspawn invasion. It's very interesting to think about from their perspective of this world. Of course, they can't be mages, like I just said, the resistance. There is 2 backgrounds for them, however. Dwarf Commoner, born casteless in a land where rank is everything, bound as the lackey and thug of a local crime lord, you have spent your life invisible, until chance thrusts you into the spotlight, where you can finally prove whether you will be defined by your actions or your birth. And Dwarf Noble. As the favored child of the Dwarven King, you proudly take up your first military command, only to learn that the deadly intrigues of family and sycophants may pose a greater danger than even the battlefield. It's very cool. Your race and your background affect gameplay. Class to a lesser degree. Like, people are going to have opinions about mages, which we'll see throughout the series. We are gonna go with human, rogue, and of course noble, since we don't have a choice. These are all good classes. So with warrior, you have typical sword and board tank, and you have a two-hander. Mage, typical things, you know, shapeshifter, healer, DPS, blood mage if you want to be evil, which old RPGs let you be evil, and it is sorely missed. I played Baldur's Gate 3 recently, and the fact that that game still lets you be an asshole is perfect. This won't be a bad run, but it is nice to have the option to be evil. We're not gonna go mage because we're gonna have a caster anyways, and the same reason for why we're going rogue is because we're already gonna have warriors. The first companion we pick up is gonna be at tank, so we won't need sword and board. And then I want to mix in an owl, one of the two-handed warriors that we're gonna pick up too. So we are gonna go rogue.
Greetings.
Now, unfortunately, at some point when they updated this game, they seem to have broken the character customization. So we can do a little bit here and there, but we cannot change facial hair. So his hair can change, but he's gonna be beardless like a young man, unfortunately. To make this look the best we can. That seems kind of fitting for a human noble, right? Makes the eye color up a little. Of course, we gotta get the portrait done right. It's crucial. We're gonna be looking at it the whole game, so turn him a little bit, get his good side. And experienced is the voice we want. The rest of them sound.
How do you do?
You see, that's how the rest of them sound.
Greetings.
Yeah, I think we're about done. There's not much else we can do. Pretty basic character customizer. Okay, so attributes in Dragon Age. They're a little different, and there's no respec in the Dragon Age games, unfortunately, so you gotta be careful with these. Constitution, despite what it says right here about it boosting your health, is worthless. I would only really get your Constitution up by gear. I wouldn't bother. This is a dump stat. Magic is a dump stat for rogues. Strength is a dump stat for rogues. Unless you want to use specific armors, like the Battle Dress of the Provocateur, which is a DLC armor. We might use that a little later, but for now, we're going to get 16 Cunning. Once you get Cunning to 16, you have everything you need for Coercion. You'll need 22 eventually for all the lockpicking skills, but 16 is a really good jump-off start. Drop the rest into Dex. This here is Coercion. So what this does is every time you get one of these blocks, it adds a modifier to your Cunning stat, and that's how you persuade. So it maxes out at 16. And this maxes out at 22. By the time we get 22 Cunning in this block, we'll be able to pick every lock in the game, no problem. Besides that, we're going to go dual weapon fine, of course. We are a rogue, after all. Going to be dual wielding daggers the whole game. And Nightmare, we only play on the hardest difficulties here. I had actually...
Your family, the Couslands, has stewarded the lands of Highever,
Duncan
earning the
introduces
loyalty
first.
of your people with justice and temperance. When your country was occupied by the Arlesian Empire, your father and grandfather served the embattled kings of your land. Today, your elder brother takes up House Cousland's banner in service to the crown, not against the men of Orlais, but against the bestial Darkspawn rising in the south.
I think this game has aged very well aesthetically.
I expect they will start arriving tonight, and we can march tomorrow. I apologize for the delay, my lord. This is entirely my fault.
No. The appearance of the Darkspawn in the south has us all scrambling, doesn't it? I only received the call from the king a few days ago myself. I'll send my eldest off with my men. You and I will ride tomorrow just like the old days.
True. But we both had less grey in our hair then, and we fought Orlesians, not monsters.
At least the smell will be the same. I'm sorry, Pup, I didn't see you there. Hal, you remember my son?
I see he's grown into a fine young man. Pleased to see you again, lad.
You might be recognizing Arl Howe's voice. That is the great Tim Curry. He played the clown in It. He's been all over the place. He's had a lot of roles. But BioWare's cast is usually star-studded for voice actors. Especially back here in the golden age where they made this game. This was peak BioWare. And you, Arl Howe.
My daughter Delilah asked after you. Perhaps I should bring her next time.
To what end?
Ha! To what end, he says? And so glib. The boy's a whip like his father.
See what I contend with, Hal? You can't tell my fierce boy anything these days, Maker bless his heart.
As uniquely talented as his father, I'm sure.
At any rate, Pup, I summoned you for a reason. While your brother and I are both away, I'm leaving you in charge of the castle.
I'll do my best, Father.
Now, that's what I'd like to hear. Only a token force is remaining here, and you must keep peace in the region. You know what they say about mice when the cat is away, yes?
Yes,
There's
sir.
also someone you must meet. Please, show Duncan in.
It is an honor to be a guest within your hall, Teyrn Cousland.
Your lordship, you didn't mention that a Grey Warden would be present.
Duncan arrived just recently, unannounced. Is there a problem?
Of course not. But a guest of this stature demands certain protocol. I am at a disadvantage.
We rarely have the pleasure of seeing one in person, that's true. Pup, Brother Aldous taught you who the Grey Wardens are, I hope.
It is easy to be at a disadvantage when there's a warden in the room, especially a warden commander. Speaking of warden commander, that is this mod's warden commander armor, and my god does it look good. Again, I'll link that in the description. That is the only mod I'm going to use, no gameplay altering things, none of that stuff. It's going to be a vanilla playthrough, except the warden gear. They're an order of great warriors.
They are the heroes of legend, who ended the Blights and saved us all. Duncan is looking for recruits before joining us and his fellow wardens in the south. I believe he's got his eye on Sir Gilmore.
If I might be so bold, I would suggest that your son is also an excellent candidate.
Honor though that might be, this is one of my sons we're talking about.
I think I rather like that idea, Father. Actually, let's go with, is there a reason I shouldn't join them?
You did just finish saying that Grey Wardens are heroes, old friend.
I've not so many children that I'll gladly see them all off to battle. Unless you intend to invoke the right of conscription.
Have no fear. While we need as many good recruits as we can find, I've no intention of forcing the issue.
Pup, can you ensure that Duncan's requests are seen to while I'm gone?
The right of conscription is actually a very interesting thing the wardens can do. They can recruit in times of potential blights anybody they want. You could be about to face execution for assassination attempts on the king, and they can still recruit you, and nobody can do anything about it. You can just take whoever you want. If they deem you worthy, you're recruited. There's a really cool thing that kind of bypasses every piece of red tape and politics in the land, really. Of course, Father.
In the meantime, find Fergus, and tell him to lead the troops to Ostagar ahead of me.
Where is Fergus?
Upstairs in his chambers, no doubt, spending some last moments with his wife and my grandson. Be a good lad and do as I've asked. We'll talk soon.
Alright, so first things first, let's drag this all the way across. One thing I also wanted to mention is, you see how this is turning blue? Anybody playing this game, I would highly recommend you change this setting. Where are we? It is... Of course I have a hard time finding it when I'm trying to show you where it is. There. Highlight usable objects. So when you are going through room to room, it is really useful to be able to just click the button and have everything you can interact with light up like this or have the name above it. There's really easy to miss codex and little books that you can pick up, and not everything shines that's interactable, so it's just a useful little quality of life thing. Let's talk to Arl Howe. Trying to smooth things over, we were kind of a cocky ass to him.
Yes?
Your daughter is interested in me?
The topic has come up from time to time. The young and their infatuations.
It sounds more serious than that.
Perhaps. Delilah is no longer of the age where I can direct her tastes. To be honest, I have no expectations. And your father seems determined to let you find your own way. If something did happen, well, we'd address it as befits a family of our stature.
He seems very into himself. I think I'd like that.
I'm sure. There will be much to discuss once I return.
Gotta play a little nice with the father's old friend, right? How long have you and father been friends?
We fought together under King Maric when he drove the Orlesians out of Ferelden. Heady times. The years since have not held the same promise. It's not something a youth would understand. It will be good to ride beside your father again.
You knew King Mark?
Your father hasn't spoken of our time with him? That man took care of his friends. As they say, he was large as life and twice as tall. It's too bad Cailan isn't half that.
It's very bold to talk so lowly of the king like that, especially in front of noble company. You don't think much of King Cailan?
I think of him as much as he thinks at all.
That's enough, Howe. You speak of our king.
Oh, the boy did ask, your lordship, as per the latitude you allow. I merely offered my opinion.
I trust the delay with your men is nothing serious.
Poor weather, I believe. Their progress has been slow, but it's nothing you need worry about.
You told my father the delay was your fault.
In a manner of speaking. If I had reinforced our border levies earlier, my troops could have left before the rains. I confess, my confidence in your father allowed me some complacency. I guess that makes it as much his fault.
I just want to wish you well, Arl Howe.
I thank you. That is quite unnecessary.
Alright, let's talk to the Warden, see what we can find out about the Wardens here. Again, I'm going to be deep diving into all these conversations. They add so much flavor and context to everything. You're really missing out if you don't. And I know a lot of people don't have the patience to sit there and read codex or dive through the conversations, but I will do it for you, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
I'm sorry, but I believe your father wishes to talk to the Arl and myself alone.
I was hoping to ask you a quick question or two.
Very well. I doubt your father would mind a slight delay.
Are there really Darkspawn in the south?
Indeed. We spotted a horde assembling in the Korkari Wilds not 3 weeks ago. Luckily, King Cailan took us at our word and marshaled Ferelden's forces quickly. The first battles have already been fought. Your father and I must move quickly.
How many Darkspawn are there?
Thousands. Perhaps 10,000 or more in this horde. Normally the Darkspawn stay in the deep roads. It bodes ill that so many risk the surface.
How much danger are Fergus and my father in?
Well, I understand the first battles have gone easily.
Indeed. Are the Grey Wardens sure this is a blight, and not simply some large Darkspawn raid?
No archdemon has been sighted yet, my lord. But with my entire soul, I believe this is a blight.
I wish we shared your faith. I suppose we shall see for ourselves once we arrive at the King's camp.
He just seeps like sleazeball, doesn't he? McCurry does an amazing job. Would you really recruit me into the Grey Wardens?
Of course. You are young, skilled, and obviously responsible if your father is willing to turn his castle over to you. The Grey Wardens do not recruit simply anybody, and I intend no flattery when I say you show promise. The old treaties allow me to conscript you even against your father's wishes, but I will not do so. Our order is too small to risk animosity with Ferelden's nobility.
I'm glad I am to hear it.
It's tempting, your lordship, but I'm content to see what other candidates your castle offers.
Indeed. See, he could just roll up into our father's lands and castle and just demand his child for a rite of conscription. Very cool. Did you really come all this way to see Sir Gilmore?
I have only found a couple of worthy candidates in my travels across Ferelden. Your father invited me here, suggesting this Sir Gilmore. If he is not suitable, I will head south and join up with the king.
You know the king?
Not well. King Cailan is an eager young man who has shown great wisdom in responding to the Darkspawn threat.
I've heard he is a bit enraptured with the Grey Warden legend, and that is why he caters to your order.
How? That is unworthy of you.
He only repeats what we've all heard. Whatever the king's reasons, I'll take his support. The priority is defeating the Darkspawn before they threaten all of Ferelden.
I can't tell if it's jealousy or spite that's dripping from Al's tongue right there. I'll leave you alone then.
Until we speak again.
Alrighty, that's going to be a wrap for this episode. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, leave a like and a comment. If you want to support the cause and help improve the channel, there is a tip link in the description below. Otherwise, stay tuned and I'll see you soon with more Dragon Age Origins. Thanks guys. Take care.